everyone, GFAN's webinar are back. This is the first webinar this year. We are very happy to have you all here to watch, to participate in this webinar. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. Second, I want to tell you that the call for papers for the GFAN's meeting, it's open. You can check all the information at the website, gfan.com.br. It is open until April 2nd, and the meeting is going to be in São Paulo in person on August 17 and 18. I hope you all submit your working papers. We will have oral presentations, but also poster sessions. So if you have research that is in the beginning, you can apply for a poster session also. Okay. Today we receive our guest, which is also a member of GFAN. We met at LACEA last year. She's from Uruguay. So today we are going to have here Florencia Amabile. She's an assistant professor in the Department of Economics at the Facultad de Ciencias Sociales at the Universidad de la República. Hi, Florencia.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having invited me.
Florencia holds a PhD in economics from Universidad de la República, and her research interests include gender studies, labor markets, women's time allocation, violence, and family economics. Additionally, she has been a member of the Sistema Nacional de Investigadores in Uruguay since 2019. Okay, Florencia, when you are ready, you can share your screen.
You the slide.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you all for being here too, and especially to Darena for the invitation, for extending this invitation for the presentation today for me. Okay, the work I'm going to present you, the title is Collective Labor Supply, Division of Housework and Intra-household Bargaining in Uruguay. This work is part of my PhD thesis that I finished last year, the thesis in economics. If you have any questions, please stop me, or if I don't explain myself correctly, please stop me as well. And this is a work in progress, and if you have any suggestions or comments, please let me know, and they will be very welcome. So the motivation to study all the things, the combination of the collective labor supply, by one side, the distribution or the division of domestic tasks inside the households, and the bargaining, the forces that are behind these distributions are related are related to the evidence that we have to some facts related to the evolution in the distribution of labor of labor inside and outside the household. So on one side, we have that the gender division of labor has changed during the second half of the 20th century. By one side, women's labor supply has drastically increased, and men's has decreased at a slower and more stable rate. On the other hand, we have also that the division of domestic work has has now been less gender specialized, and but however there are still gender differences in the division of domestic work. The division of domestic work are more in charge of women. Women are continuing to perform most of these household chores, and however, and besides or furthermore, this division of labor inside the household may be related to the sources, to the relative resources of each partner, or maybe reflect some internalized gender norms, which define what is considered acceptable behavior for men and women. So I want to analyze with all the things the bargaining processes that are formed inside the household, and in particular in households that has traditional and egalitarian division of work, of domestic work, to give some insight into the balance of power within each household type. Okay. So in terms of what happened with Uruguay, why I use Uruguay, because I live in Uruguay, I live in Montevideo, and I'm Uruguayan. But besides that, Uruguay, it's an interesting case of analysis because it has a long-term history in women's rights. For example, it was the first country to grant the divorce by the sole will of women in 1913, and the first to grant fully equal civil and suffrage in Latin America in 2017. And in the recent years, it also had some advantage that, for example, it approved the gender-based violence law and cohabitation union law, among others. And in terms of the average level of literacy, life expectancy and gross per capita income is above the median of other Latin American countries, which is quite done well. And however, there are good things about Uruguay. We have some remaining gaps, and which implies some policy implications. In particular, these remaining gaps are related to the woman's access to the labor market, to the access of women to stable and quality jobs, and to the distribution of work inside the households between men and women, which is gender specialized. So how this is how is the specialization, or how the division of domestic work dynamics has evolved over the years is presented in these two figures. In these figures shows the evolution of the division of domestic work in Uruguay. To each one of these type of households, traditionals, egalitarian, non-traditional, and outsourcing households, are computed in base of one question that is asked in the household survey of Uruguay. So the household survey of Uruguay asked each person to each person of the household, is she or he the one who does the household chores, or is she or he the one who mainly does the household chores? And the possible answers to this question are yes or no. And I presented separately this figure because in 2010, the National Institute of Statistics changed the phrasing of the question, and add the adverb mainly. So there is a change, not because there was a change in gender and in the gender norms attitudes regarding the division of domestic work, but because of the phrasing of the question. However, the overall picture of this this division of domestic work in Uruguay shows that the percentage of households following a traditional division of domestic work in terms of this normative breadwinner norm is decreasing from the beginnings of the 90s to 2019. And that egalitarian households, that is households where both members of the couple declare that they does household chores, emerge in their place. While in the beginnings of the 90s, only 5% of the households does something of the domestic work. At 2019, this percentage has increased at almost 50% of the household. So there are changes related to the division of domestic work that are and changing in gender norms and what is acceptable behavior for men and women, at least the perception of each inside the household. So what is this relation, how this division of gender role attitudes regarding the division of domestic work affects or is related to the dynamics in the labor markets. In the labor markets, what we observe for males and for females and male partners is that there are a downward tendency in the case of males in the labor supply of hours of hours of market work in the case of men, and in the case of females, the evolution is more stable. So the dynamic is not changing. What we observe is that there are significant differences between the labor supply of hours work in the market by women in traditional households and egalitarian households, and by males in traditional and egalitarian households too. And in terms of the raw wage gap, what we have too is that the gender gap is narrowing between men and women, and that women in egalitarian households are in a better position than women in traditional households, because they are the gender gap is almost is more narrow than in traditional households. So,
Florencia,
sí.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
in the previous slide, the hours of market work of the women's female partner, it from 1991 to 2020, it's almost the same. Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Could you see again the previous slide?
This one?
No.
This one, or do you want to see the gender gap?
Which one you were talking about, Lorena?
Number 5, this one.
This one. So sorry, I understood that you were talking about the last one.
No, this one, because
okay.
In Brazil, the married women, at least until COVID, the number of hours they work in the labor market were increasing.
Yes, the labor for participation of women in Uruguay is increased, but the average hours of work is more or less stable. The change or the increase in the female labor force participation happened before 1981.
Okay.
So we have a high level of labor force participation in terms of in terms of other Latin American countries before the beginning of the 90s.
Okay. You are ahead. You are ahead, Brazil. No, yes.
What happened? What is still happening in Uruguay is that the usually hours of market work in the case of males is that it has a downward tendency, and it is still happening. And I think that it will be happening for a couple of more years.
Yes.
I suppose. I don't know. Okay. And okay. So the raw gender gap is the evolution is this. And so based on these evolutions and dynamics in the labor market, I will analyze, or I try to analyze in this work, the effects of intra-household bargaining on traditional and egalitarian couples' labor supply in order to determine how the traditional and egalitarian decision-making compare. So I want to know if there are significant differences in the bargaining power of women in traditional and egalitarian households. Okay. To this end, I use the collective model.
Florencia,
yes.
I just didn't get to what's the definition? It's my
Of traditional and egalitarian household.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Traditional households are those that both are households where women only does household chores, and egalitarian households are those with only with both partners of the couple make or does household chores in the house. I do not
works.
What?
Egalitarian both work at the market.
In the analysis, in the main analysis, both partners, both members of the couple are in the labor market, and besides, they are egalitarian if both work inside the household. So two household home production.
Okay. But both. Which one of this question, A or B?
I will use both. B. I will only use B because the main analysis, I will use data from 2019 because I can analyze the dynamic, the long-term changes of the bargaining processes.
Okay.
But that's a methodology problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I will use all the heterosexual couples where both members of the couple are working, and I will define traditional households as those where only the woman does household chores and not the men, and egalitarian if both partners does the household chores, okay, or home production of domestic work. I don't know which definition. Okay, So the objective of the work is to compare these decision-making processes in families with different social norms regarding the distribution of housework, and to analyze if the balance of power is sensitive to some distribution factors that I will show you later. So the contribution of this paper are to the literature on gender latitudes, bringing new evidence from a developing country of the impacts of cohabitation decisions, differences between partners' education and non-labor income on the household balance of power, and the labor supply of traditional egalitarian couples. And on the other contribution is to the literature on social norms that analyze their influence on a variety of labor market outcomes. There are other papers like Fernandez, Bertrand, Gausset, or Galvan that uses the social norms to analyze labor force participation of women, of the probability of being employed in the formal sector. I use I measure these social norms directly by using the who mainly does the household course in the household. So the empirical the theoretical framework I use, as I said, is the collective model of labor supply with distribution factors from Chapori, Fortino, and Lacroix. From this model, the optimal allocation of the labor supply are determined by the following program, that is the maximization of the utility of each individual, where phi represents the female share of non-labor income, and phi is the main objective of the solution of the problem. So in this model, the decision process is done in two steps. In the first step, the members of the family decide how much of the non-labor income is allocated to each one, in particular to the female partner, and the other is defined as the difference. And in the second step, each individual chooses their own labor supply and the private consumption. As the collective model supposes that the decisions are Pareto efficient, and if we suppose this, we can derive a system of Marshallian labor supply functions. And the importance of these functions in the labor in the collective models are that they are determined by own wage mainly, and that the wage rates of the partner, the non-labor income, and distribution factors are affects the demand only through the sharing rule based on an income effect. So the sharing rule, that is this fifth factor, the way that the non-labor income is distributed among each couple members can be recovered up to an additive constant, and it is the object. All collective models wants to estimate this sharing rule because it says the bargaining power of men and women inside the household. So how the non-labor income is distributed among each partner. So the distribution factors are that the distribution factors are these variables that affect the bargaining power position within the household, but does not affect the preferences or the budgetary restriction of the household. There are different proxies for these distribution factors. There are like macro distribution factors that is differences in sex ratios among states in United States, for example, or changes in divorce law or abortion legalization in different states. And Other distribution factors have to be two differences inside the house, like relative age, relative unearned income, relative wages, like background family factors, control of land, previous children, reported influence within the household, and if they are single parents or have benefits, for example, family allowances. Okay. These distribution factors are those who allow us to identify the sharing rule in these models. So that's why they are so important, and I'm talking about them right now. So the distribution factors I use in this work are three. First, the condition of being married or not, the difference between partners' non-labor income, and the difference between partners' education. Being married or not, or can be thought of as a distributional factor that protects women who specialize in domestic work from divorce. And this distribution factor is especially important when the default regime at the time of marriage are community property contracts. Because the main difference is that when you divorce from a married person, when get divorced, if they have the community property contracts, when they get divorced, they have to divide all the things, all the goods they have on half. But if they have signed a division of goods, they don't have to make this division after the divorce. And this regime may translate into a decreasing pattern of labor supply for women if this mechanism holds. On the other side, the difference between non-labor income between males and females, and the difference between partners' education may affect the decision process by giving more power to the more educated or richer partner, which translates into a decreased pattern of labor supply for him or her, and then affecting the sharing rule. And the difference in non-labor income between partners is also a direct test of the validity of the unitary model, which is in contrast of the collective labor supply. So the main difference is that in the collective model, we are not supposing that only one person maximizes the utility for the whole family. Besides, each one decides after deciding the sharing rule, how they divide the non-labor income, they decide their own labor supply and consumption, but after the bargaining process has completed. So the empirical specification for the main estimation is based on the system of these labor supply equations that has a semi-logarithmic form. H are the outcomes, and the hours usually work in a week in the main occupation for males and females. W is the hourly wage of partner E and in the main occupation. Y is the total non-labor income of the household. S1 is the condition of being married or not. That is a dummy variable. S2 is the non-labor income differences between males and females. And S3 is the difference in years of education between males and females. And theta are individual and family characteristics. They are supposed to be preferences like age, education, I don't know, race, house owner, region of residence, and other variables. So the system of equations is estimated separately for traditional and egalitarian households to then compare them in the sharing rule. So from this equation, from this system, we can get, if some conditions hold, that these conditions that are here, the proportionality across the proportionality of distribution factors and the significance of non-labor income in the labor supply of men and women, we can recover the sharing rule up to an additive constant. And this means that we only, that if some assumptions holds, the derivatives of the sharing rule are identified, not the sharing rule itself, because it changes between each family, because each family has different preferences. But what we can estimate for the economy, in this case, is the derivatives of the sharing rule. Okay, so the data I will use in this work are the household survey from Uruguay from 2019. The sample is restricted to heterosexual working couples that are those who are married or cohabiting. That is, but I exclude from the sample extended families or couples, extended families, and then the two members of the family have to be between 18 and 65 years of age. They have to live in urban areas with more than 5,000 inhabitants, and they do not have to not have missing information on both members of the couple. And I only consider dependent or self-employed workers. So I left out, I do not consider jefes, patrones. The sample is split according to the distribution of domestic work among females and males within the household. That is traditional, only women do housework, and egalitarian, both members of the household, men and women, do housework, and non-traditional and outstanding households I do not consider in the estimation, because they are of very small sample size. Yes.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, of course.
You include only workers,
Yes.
but not employees.
Yes.
Okay. Another question. In the egalitarian couples, both women and men do housework. Okay, but
Yes.
do you have the hours each one?
No, I don't
Does?
have the hours. The best way to estimate this thing is to time you survive. But in the case of Uruguay, the last time you survive is from the last year, and I don't have the Instituto, the National Statistic Institute does not publish the results.
The hours.
And the other thing is that the sample size are small, so I try with with the 2013 time you survive, and then I do not find anything because the sample size were tiny.
I'm just asking because I have another question, and then I'll make an observation. The housework. What in your survey? What is included as what type of housework is included?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
The household survey does not. Only ask if the person is in charge, or is who mainly does the household chores.
Okay, no, and doesn't include care.
It
Caring.
may include.
May include, okay.
It may or may not.
Okay.
It's an approximation to gender norms, because I said, or I suppose, that this measure of traditional and egalitarian households, it's an approximation to gender norm, because I do not really have the detailed use of time in home production. So I know that that males or females does household chores, but I don't know which type of housework they do. I have although this I don't have here, but if you want, I have it in the working paper. I estimate that with the time use survey of Uruguay, the link between this household type characterization with this question and the detailed information about hours of housework in childcare, working, cooking, doing laundry, and other things. And there is a perfect correlation between those the households that are egalitarian. The share of hours that women dedicate to the home production are in the middle of the kernel distribution than households that are traditional, where women are more are those who mostly does these things. So there is a correlation, but it is not perfect, because I do not have the detailed information about the hours they spend doing these things.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you too?
Yes, of course.
Oh, great! Because I think I didn't get it now, because if you don't have the hours, is it possible that you are naming egalitarian household, a household where men are doing only, let's say, 10% of the housework, or 5%, or almost 0 hours?
Yes.
It's a egalitarian because
they doing
declare
0 is low, but it's likely it's possible.
Yeah, because we know that the distribution are very non-normal.
Yes.
So much more couples are around 0 hours for men, but they declare something like very few hours, but they are considered egalitarian in your model, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see. This is the graph I was told you. This is the estimation using the time use survey of Uruguay of 2013, and the correlation between the share of female hours of housework on total domestic work. And although the correlation is not perfect between this classification in traditional and egalitarian household, it's in line with a distribution of gender norms. It's okay? I don't remember the name of the person who asked me this. Okay, let's move on. So the summary statistics are, in general, is that the gap, there are things that we already show in, or we already see in the main figures I show you, is that the gap in usually hours of work are are larger in traditional households. The gap, the wage gender gap is larger too in traditional households. There are no significant difference I'm sorry, the non-labor income is a little bit higher in traditional households than in egalitarian households. And distribution factors are that in traditional households, there are more likely to be married, and there are no significant differences between egalitarian traditionals or in the differences of non-labor income, although the gap in the educational level of male and females are wider in egalitarian households. And in terms of age, traditional households are older than egalitarian one, and the education of the persons living in an egalitarian household is more. So I move on quickly to the results because I already have a few minutes left. So to get to the sharing rule and the balance of power within the household, first we have to estimate the unrestricted collective model of labor supply. I estimated for all all the couples that are traditional egalitarian, and then splitting the sample among those who are traditional and egalitarian. And in general terms, we observe that I see correlations. I do not have significant, and I do not have in the household survey of Uruguay valid instruments to use GMM estimation to identify correctly the effects of wages. This is should say wage of men, non-female. So the main effects I will refer to the non-labor income and the distribution factors in the sharing rule. And in general terms, what we observed is that the condition of being married and the difference in the education, in terms of the education and the non-labor income between partners have the expected signs in terms that they have opposite signs in the labor supply of men and women. So these give an insight that they could be used as distribution factors. Then I do not show in the presentation today, but they are in the working paper. I estimate all the all the conditions that have to hold to identify the sharing rule, and all these conditions holds. And after that, we can get from the restricted model, from the estimation of the restricted collective model, we can get the sharing rule up to 90 points. So what we have here are the marginal effects of the sharing rule. And this marginal effect says what happened with the bargaining power of women when the non-labor income increases, when we move from not from cohabiting to being married, and what happened when the non-labor income differences increases in $1 or in $1,000, because the measure here is 1,000, or what happens when the education difference between the male and female partner increase in 1 year. So, for example, in the case of non-labor income, when it increases in $1,000, or when we have a marginal increase of $1 in the non-labor income of the household, in the egalitarian household, we the women receive 0.53, almost $0.54 of this new of this extra dollar of non-labor income. That is the level the women in those households has a higher bargaining power than women in traditional households, because the women in traditional households receive only $0.26 of this additional dollar. So if we think that this is not a huge difference, it is because the other part of this dollar, in the case of traditional households, the $0.74 are assigned to the men, to the male partner, and in the case of egalitarian households, the share of the non-labor income of this extra dollar that goes to men is 0.46, the difference. And here, when we consider the other distribution factors, we move from when persons are cohabiting, when women are married rather than cohabiting, they have more bargaining power in egalitarian households and in the old couples. In traditional, the sign is positive, but there are no significant effects. In the case of non-labor income, for example, if there's an increase of $1,000 in favor of males, the non-labor income, the bargaining power of women decreases, because this is like a transference that females have to make to the male partner. And the same happens to the education differences. When male have 1 year more of education than females, there are negative effects there are a lower bargaining power of women. So just to close, I make the selection into employment correction because we have different participation rates, or we have selection into employment, particularly in women in traditional homes. So I estimate the labor supply of women after making the Heckman correction and the sharing rule after correcting these the estimations for the selection into employment are more or less the same. They are more, the signs are the same. The magnitudes are almost equal. They are quite robust, and the significance is higher. Are more present because the sample size is higher, but that's the whole picture. So to close here, in this paper I analyzed the differences in labor supply responses and intra-household bargaining of heterosexual couples in households with different gender role attitudes regarding the division of domestic work. The collective model of labor supply with distribution factor was used to analyze the labor supply of couples. The derivatives of the sharing rule show that an increase in the non-labor income translates into a positive transfer to the female partner, although we have seen that this positive transfer is lower in the traditional than in egalitarian households. And on the other hand, that the bargaining power of women increases when women are married, while it is reduced when the difference in non-labor income and education increases in favor of male. And what I want to show, or I don't know, in this work is that social norms regarding the division of domestic work are not the only relevant variable to explain differences in the intra-household bargaining, but it was shown that they can booster the distribution of power within households, making more egalitarian household the objective or the goal. And that's all. Thank you all for hard listen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very good.
It's complicated because the model is quite complicated. The
Yes.
collective framework is hard to understand.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to get inside.
Yes. Very complicated.
Yes. I
But
don't know.
your results are very interesting.
Yes. I do not find significant differences between the bargaining, the balance of power between traditional and egalitarian households. However, I found these little things that it boosted the balance of power to women with more egalitarian distribution of tasks.
Yes, that's
So
important.
we can think that today we are in a better position than 30 years ago, but we don't know how much we are better. We have to work on it.
Yes.
And men have to work on the house.
Yes, yes, that's absolutely, you are absolutely right. Yes. I will open, we can open for questions. Can we open for questions?
There, I just want to congrats, Florencia. It's really que a porri, Fortin et Lacroix, right? 2011. I know this model quite well because I'm using it. I'm working on it because I'm doing some studies and analysis based on Brazilian data, and it's a pity that you don't have the housework time to put in the model. When you were explaining the model, one question that I would make, but I decided to wait until then, just to it's why didn't you didn't put the household production into the model as a restriction, and as you don't have the household time, like the housework time, you can't. It's a restriction. I was wondering, you do have time use survey there in Europe.
Yes.
Because here in Brazil it's a really limitation. We do not have this. And but what data can you extract? Like if you want to use this model using time use survey. So, but you don't have wages, right? So you have household.
The time you survey, I have all. I have wages. Have.
Why not use base this model in the time use survey?
I have to try.
Yes.
Really? I have to try.
But it's is as you show it in the model, it's when you include, because one important variable that you're using, and one thing that I like it very much, and I was thinking about how can I include in my model, because I have to measure time I don't have time use survey, but I have housework time. But I can measure in a more straight, precise way than you, this egalitarian and traditional, like families, households. Because this variable household housework, it's really important for your split the models.
Yes.
And but you don't have, like as Simone was telling, like you and you don't include this variable in the model, right? Because
no, I use this variable to split the the sample.
Yes.
Another alternative is to only make one estimation and interact all the things with the variable with a dummy variable that it is an egalitarian or traditional to see differences.
Yes, but I thought it was, yes, I thought it was a really interesting way to define, to measure like these social norms.
Yes,
like,
to approximate. I want to approximate some
yes,
kind of social norms that are associated to the breadwinner norm. And
but I was wondering, like, how can you include more this housework time? Maybe you could use and could try to use the time use survey, you know, and
yes, and maybe
and refine the model, the Chiappuri. Look, it's already complex, the model, the labor supply model. I'm trying to put one more variable, the household time, and that's what I'm trying to do, you know, like
the paper from Rappaport from 2011.
Yes, the French,
okay.
the French, yes, the French one.
Because
they did it.
He included.
Yes, they did it, and what we will have to talk a lot.
Okay.
And yes, and I'm trying to leisure is my control variable, you know, like as they did, but like I'm trying to, and I was wondering, how can you include more and use more this variable that you use to split the households and use more in the model. I think I had more to say, but like congratulations, like it's my like the area that I really enjoy, so
we
it's
can
really,
work together.
Yes, definitely. Lots of things to do, to talk.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you enjoy and you like the
yes,
work.
very,
How the presentation was.
yes, very much. I'm just reading a lot. I think social norms, like as children, child penalties is like the thing that one of the determinants and the main factors that causes gender inequalities, but like social norms and like this through the housework things is like the main mechanisms that like bump the gender inequalities. And if we can measure it and you know, like try to at least put in statistics or analysis or something like this, and try to include this model, family Chiappuri, and it's really interesting, really nice.
Yes. Anybody else? Questions? People are shy.
Yes.
can I ask something else?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Please.
it's very interesting. I was very interested in your findings. They make sense a lot. I would like to ask you, completing the questions of Anna, can you, with time use data you have, can you split the information of housework in care and general care, in general housework, because you can, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's very important, I think, for many purposes. This difference is very important because there is a huge literature about these two types of housework in the this tradition or not traditional gender norm, because it seems that for many couples the care task is not as defined as housework in general, routine housework.
What we see in the Uruguayan time use survey is that males are more engaged in childcare.
In childcare,
Yes,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
worldwide. Yeah,
yeah.
worldwide.
They do housework because they do childcare. No.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So you
We have this. We
Brazil,
unfortunately we don't
yes.
have this kind of data at that level. But I think our impression is that is the same case.
It's the same.
Yeah, they just play with the children during the weekend,
Yes.
and it's the whole housework they are doing. And maybe well, in a literature about the impact of traditionalism on fertility decisions, the gender norm about division of housework, general housework of the day by day routine work is much more important than the care to children. And I think it's make a lot of sense. And I would love to see a model like this, but just splitting this variable in two kinds of housework.
Okay.
Can be another
Another paper.
agenda. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for your comments and suggestions.
Yeah, I would like to thank again Florencia for being here. I will stop recording now, and I'd like to thank everyone who was here today. Thank you very much, and see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you.